Welcome to the deep dive. Today we have, well, it's a profound undertaking. We're about to immerse ourselves in this dark, really intricate, and deeply moral universe crafted by Dean Koontz. And we're drawing exclusively from excerpts of his novel, One Door Away from Heaven.
And this isn't light reading. The sources are incredibly dense. I mean, they really push the boundaries of what you might think of as human depravity. But, at the same time, they shine this incredible spotlight on the resilience and principle it takes to face that darkness.
Absolutely.
We're tracking these narratives that explore everything from political corruption to supernatural flight and even murder that's driven by this frighteningly logical, twisted ideology.
That's right. So our mission today, it's ambitious. We need to untangle three high-stakes storylines that at first they seem completely separate, but then they collide and violently. First, you've got the flight of this mysterious, motherless boy who is, well, he's much more than he seems.
Right.
Then there's the quiet, almost obsessive quest for redemption by this deeply disillusioned private investigator.
And finally, a desperate race against time.
Yeah, to save a young girl from a killer who is completely obsessed with this perverse, philosophical kind of morality.
What stands out to me right away is how Koontz just masterfully weaves these threads together. You've got the political, the cosmic, the philosophical, and they all seem so disparate. But they aren't.
No, they're not.
They all converge on the same core problems, hidden, evil, corrupted ideals that are hiding behind these facades of virtue and just the sheer necessity of finding a genuine connection in a world that's drowning in disinformation and, frankly, moral relativism.
It's what happens when knowledge and power are completely divorced from any ethical responsibility, isn't it?
Precisely, and the consequences are just brutal.
Okay, let's unpack this. I think we should start with the thread that grounds us in the most recognizable, the most everyday kind of evil. That's the political corruption surrounding our private investigator, Noah Farrel.
Yes. Let's start there. So we begin with the politician at the center of this whole web, Congressman Jonathan Sharmer.
Right.
Sharmer is, he's the prototype of the charismatic modern villain. He's revered by the media. He's built his entire public reputation on this charitable organization called the Circle of Friends, which sounds so compassionate, right?
Which sounds wonderful.
But it's actually just a deeply corrupted instrument for his own self-interest.
And crucially, his whole image, it really hinged on his wife, didn't it? Constance Veronica Tavenel Sharmer.
100%. She came from old money, very established family. She had the kind of impeccable credentials that you just can't buy.
So it was all for show.
The sources are completely explicit about it. Sharmer leveraged that marriage purely for optics. It was to grant him class and respectability.
Yeah, make transactional marriage.
Exactly. For Sharmer, Constance was, and this phrase is just so telling, she was the moral equivalent of arm candy. Her unblemished, sterling reputation was a shield.
Right. A shield to deflect suspicion.
Constantly deflecting suspicion from his increasingly illegal and immoral activities. She basically provided the ethical credibility so that he could go on being a monster behind the scenes.
I find that language it's so telling, moral equivalent of arm candy. It says so much about how these power structures really work,
It does.
The virtue isn't real. It's just a prop. It's a currency that you use to keep the deception going.
Absolutely. She brought the old world pedigree, and he brought this image of the compassionate, forward-thinking leader, her quiet humility, her beauty. It just made her reputation an even stronger, more effective shield for all of his schemes.
So now we introduce the man who is tasked with taking that facade apart, Noah Farrel.
Yeah.
He's a former police officer, now a private gumshoe, and he's driven by this really intense personal need to serve justice. He knows he can't be a real cop again because of, well, things in his past.
Right.
So he aims to be a make-believe cop, a man operating outside of the broken official system, driven only by his principles.
And we see those principles tested almost immediately. Noah takes Constance on as a client, determined to expose her husband. But Sharmer's men, they find Noah very quickly. They want to silence him.
And this is where we meet one of Koontz's most unsettling characters, the thug.
The thug, yes. He's only referred to as the pacifist.
Which is just perfect. He's wearing a bright loves the answer t-shirt, but he's got this incredibly detailed, really aggressive rattlesnake tattoo coiled around his arm, fangs out.
That visual tension, love versus venom, it's perfect. It's the embodiment of the entire organization's facade.
So this pacifist, he tries to bribe Noah to drop the case.
He does. The payment is $10,000 in cash. and it's presented in the most cynical container you can possibly imagine. A small, waxy air sickness bag.
That detail is just phenomenal. It's not just that it's a lot of money, it's the contempt behind it.
It's pure psychological warfare.
The thug explains it's Sharmer's dark little joke. He's saying money's nothing but vomit to him.
Exactly. Sharmer is communicating that he operates on a plane so high that mere currency is beneath him. It's a statement about ultimate power and disdain.
He thinks he has the power to corrupt anyone, to destroy reputation.
Right, to bring even the richest men to their knees. By giving Noah the bribe this way, he's taunting him. He's implying that Noah's principles, they just have a price.
But Noah, despite desperately needing the cash, he's basically broke. He refuses it.
Calls it dirty, unclean.
He does. And he makes a crucial decision right then and there. He will not take tainted money, but he will insist on billing Constance for his services. He'll only accept honest payment for honest work.
And his integrity, it's so rigid, it's so deeply ingrained after everything he's been through, it almost feels like a compulsion.
Constance even sees it. When he meets her later, he admits he's padding the bill, but not because he is, just because he can't accept her complimenting him.
She gets it, though. She recognizes this almost obsessive commitment to a moral code, and she describes Noah as the first basset hound she's ever known with such strong, unwavering principles.
That comparison, the sad, sort of clumsy dog, it really highlights his wariness, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But also his loyalty to the truth.
It's perfect.
And what did that honest work uncover? It was damning, and it went way beyond simple infidelity.
Oh, way beyond. The surveillance video catches Sharmer with a woman named Carla Rhimes, a dancer. Her professional name was Tiffany Tush from a club called Planet Pussycat.
But the crime wasn't the affair itself.
No, not at all. It was the financial corruption. Carla was on the payroll of the circle of friends, and she was getting an $86,000 salary per year.
$86,000.
And that was just the tip of the iceberg. Sharmer was systematically using foundation funds, which, remember, included government grants, to buy residences for multiple mistresses in several cities.
New York, D.C., Anaheim.
Exactly. A clear violation of federal statutes that are supposed to protect nonprofits.
And his arrogance it peaks when he tells his men to destroy Noah's old car, his rust bucket Chevy, right out in the open.
And he's laughing on the surveillance video while they do it. It's just an act of pure, arrogant intimidation.
And Noah notes the brutal irony of it all.
Yes. The men committing the crime were likely, as he puts it, troubled youths rescued by the circle of friends.
Which just reveals the total subversion of the Foundation's purpose. It wasn't saving people, it was recruiting loyal, violent thugs.
It shows you how an institution designed for social good was corrupted into this mechanism for self-interest and criminal intimidation.
So this political corruption, it's a profound moral failure, but for Noah, it's not actually his deepest wound, is it?
No, not even close.
Yeah.
His ongoing struggle is framed by the horrific tragedy of his sister, Noah Farrel. She's cataleptic, and she lives in a specialized care facility, the haven of the lonesome and the long-forgotten.
Laura's past really defines Noah's entire need for a moral framework. She survived this unimaginable family violence. Her father was murdered by her Aunt Lily.
And Laura herself was beaten into this cataleptic state. She just remained there, curled up, sometimes weeping these silent tears that Noah noted tasted better. He visits her relentlessly, talking until he's wrung dry of words, trying to find some kind of exhausted peace in her silent presence.
And then the sources document the final, just the unspeakable betrayal that shatters Noah's already fragile world.
Lori is murdered in her bed by a nurse named Wendy Quayle. It's a massive, untraceable injection of the tranquilizer Haldol.
And then Quayle is revealed to be a serial killer.
Yes. She admits to 16 infant deaths in neonatal units and 5 elderly patient deaths in a nursing home. But we have to pause here and really analyze her motive because it is so much more chilling than Sharmer's greed.
She called them her little mercies.
Exactly. It's all rooted in this profoundly twisted application of utilitarian ethics.
Utilitarian ethics. So in this context, that means she felt she was maximizing good, but what, reducing suffering?
Precisely. She was choosing victims who looked weak or had, in her view, poor prospects. She was deciding for them that their lives were not worth living.
This is the crucial point of comparison in this whole section, isn't it? Sharmer's evil. His greed, lust, power. Noah can understand that.
It's a calculated, logical evil.
Yeah.
Yes. But Quayle's act is driven by what he calls irrational idealism. It's a cold, self-justified ideological evil.
And it incites this cold contempt and disgust in Noah. It robs him of the simple, cathartic vengeance he wanted. You can chase a man like Sharmer, but you can't chase a philosophy.
That distinction is so key. Sharmer is the calculated monster, the elite, who knows he's breaking the rules for personal gain. Quayle represents the philosophical monster, the one who believes morality doesn't even exist and feels completely justified in committing murder through the lens of maximizing utility.
She has this frightening level of certainty. It's fueled by intellectual arrogance and high self-esteem, this belief that she knows what's best for other people.
And that kind of moral failure is infinitely more insidious. It's so much harder for Noah and for the system at large to process or fight against. And it really sets the stage for the next villain we're about to meet, who shares that exact same ideological certainty.
It provides a necessary thematic link. So we've seen the calculated corruption of institutions, and now we move to a different kind of threat, one of flight, fear, and, well, cosmic consequence.
Right, let's follow the second storyline. This is where the stakes immediately elevate from local crime to existential peril. The story opens with a 10-year-old boy who witnesses his mother's murder.
And he flees instantly into the moon-silvered sea of grass.
His entire existence is immediately defined by terror. And this intense inner conflict, he carries this searing guilt. Guilt churns a bitter butter in his blood. He believes he survived when others didn't, and that just drives his frantic need to survive and to hide.
His mother, she was an agent of hope and freedom, and she instilled in him these strong moral values. But his very first act of survival requires him to break them.
That's right. He needs essentials: clothes, socks, shoes, cash. So he stealthily breaks into a nearby farmhouse and steals $21 and some clothes from the sleeping Hammond family.
That moment of necessary moral compromise, it's just so painful. And the consequences are terrifyingly immediate.
The killers, they track the boy's trail to the Hammond farm. The Hammonds are then murdered, and their house is set on fire to destroy any evidence that could connect the killers to the boy's identity.
And that burning house becomes a spore of sound that he has to outrun.
But he doesn't stay alone for very long. He finds his companion, a black and white shaggy dog. He decides to name Old Yeller.
And this dog, she quickly becomes more than just a pet. She's his confidant, his guardian, his sister becoming.
This relationship is so much more than friendship. It's a profound psychic bond. Curtis is able to share the dog's senses, her perceptions, her deep wisdom.
And that becomes his crucial survival mechanism, right? It helps him detect subtle threats. The two men in cowboy boots under the semi at the truck stop, the tarantulas and rattlesnakes that are fleeing a path ahead of him in the desert.
The bond gives him this intuitive knowledge of his environment that no human child could ever possess. It transforms the dog into a trusted strategic guide.
Okay, and now we get to the massive reveal that just changes everything.
A big one.
Curtis is not just a boy. He's an alien shape-changer on a crucial mission, inheriting his mother's mantle as an agent of hope. And his current human identity, Curtis Hammond, was adopted using DNA from a discarded Band-Aid he found at the Hammond farm.
So now we have a cosmic war playing out on a dusty American highway. But maintaining that disguise, that is the central physical and psychological challenge. The sources explain that to maintain the human form requires constant biological tension. It's an active, exhausting process.
And this constant biological tension has a significant drawback.
A huge one. It emits a unique energy signature, like a faint beacon, which is detectable by his alien assassins. He calls them the worst scalawags. And potentially by advanced human tracking systems.
So things like infrared motion detection used by the FBI.
Exactly. Time, we learn, is his ally. The longer he can successfully maintain the human form and blend into society, the fainter that traceable energy signature becomes.
But to maintain that credible deception, he needs absolute confidence, self-possession.
Which brings us to the crucial moment of failure. The lapse in character that happens when he finally gets a moment of safety to shower in the twins' motorhome.
And it's the intense social stress, the profound self-consciousness of being naked, the self-doubt. He worries internally that he's the Lucille Ball of shape-changers, just a clumsy, exposed fraud.
That anxiety, that self-doubt, those are the triggers. He looks in the mirror and sees his face resisting his will, turning this terrifying bright shade of lobster bright. He realizes he's not being Curtis Hammond well enough.
And that stress, it causes an imperfect momentary transformation. And that completely resets his detectability clock.
That detail is so essential for you to understand. It's not a technical failure, it's a psychological failure. It's caused by human emotion. It resets his unique energy signature to full strength, making him highly vulnerable all over again.
He realizes that being poised during physical danger is one thing, but maintaining composure during simple socializing, that's incredibly difficult for him.
It adds such incredible depth to the character. His enemies are external, sure, but the greatest threat is his own internal stress and the emotional toll of carrying this disguise.
And that heightened vulnerability brings the danger right back to his doorstep. The assassins find Curtis and Old Yeller at a Nevada crossroads.
And the killers are perfectly disguised. They're in a faux Corvette and an Explorer posing as a false mom and pop. But the Explorer is, well, it's stuffed with corpses. They're teeth collectors.
The detail about the teeth collectors is classic Koontz. It's so grotesque, but mixed with something so banal.
It is. But before the shootout, we get this incredible demonstration of the dog-boy bond. Old Yeller senses the imminent threat and somehow manages to use a laptop to type a clear, urgent message.
Just run.
Run in. And then, showing that perfect Kuntzian mix of high stakes and humor, the dog types a follow-up message.
I am a good dog. I have a plan, but I need funding.
That line, I need funding, it's hilarious, but it's also strategically brilliant and it becomes a crucial plot point later on. But right now, Curtis gets backup from two very surprising allies.
Cass and Polly Spelkenfelter.
Yes, these beautiful, highly competent sisters with backgrounds in Hollywood who are now self-proclaimed UFO pilgrims.
And they aren't just curious onlookers, they are ready for a fight.
Mm-hmm.
The sisters demonstrate just astonishing courage and really impressive weaponry skills. They immediately engage the shape-changing assassins.
They grab their shotguns and pistols and just launch into this chaotic, high-firepower shootout. And this unexpected alliance allows Curtis and Old Yeller to join forces with them, and that marks the beginning of their new, very unconventional family unit.
The chase has shifted, hasn't it? It's gone from a lonely flight to a small, decentralized, armed struggle.
And this confrontation is the immediate prelude to our final narrative thread, which brings us face to face with the second manifestation of that ideological evil we were talking about.
Okay, let's pivot to that third storyline. It focuses on the child at the center of this immediate moral crisis, Leilani Klonk, and the woman who's determined to save her, Micky Bellsong. Leilani is just a heartbreakingly sharp character.
They call her the unbraidable child. Leilani is a self-taught autodidact. She's homeschooled at a 12th grade level, intellectually just razor sharp, but she's physically suffering from severe deformities, a twisted leg and a gnarled hand.
And her living situation is terrifying. She's with her drug-addicted mother, Sinsamila, who Leilani bitterly calls the Hole, and her pseudo-father, Preston Maddoc.
Her current trauma is tied to her missing older brother, Lou Capella, who disappeared 9 months ago in Montana. Maddoc claims Lou Capella was taken by extraterrestrials for a healing.
But Leilani knows the truth. She's afraid Maddoc is planning a forced healing, meaning murder, for her, too, before her 10th birthday.
It's awful. Mickey asks her if she believes in life after death, and Leilani's reply is just so poignant and resigned. She just says, I better. It carries this heavy weight of a child who knows she's facing this near-certain, philosophically justified death.
And the man threatening her is Preston Maddoc, who has earned the nickname Dr. Doom. This is where the ideological villainy we saw with Nurse Quayle really finds its intellectual apex.
Maddox's philosophy is the core threat here. He lives by this code based on radical utilitarian bioethics and a chilling fascination with death, which he calls serious business. He boldly declares that morality doesn't exist.
So let's just define that threat clearly for everyone listening. Utilitarianism is the idea that the morally right action is the one that maximizes overall happiness or utility. Maddoc twists this into eliminating dependents, or those he perceives as weak, to maximize societal benefit and reduce suffering.
Exactly. Like Quayle, he focuses on eliminating the frail, weak, and elderly, but he gets this darker, more intellectual thrill from the process. He found that killing the young was more thrilling than dispatching the old, because eliminating potential, a young life, it provided a more profound statement about his own power and certainty.
The source material even says he married Sinsamila in part because she came with 2 children who, in his twisted view, needed to die.
Yes, he views them so coldly as ethical dilemmas awaiting firm resolutions.
This is just high-minded intellectual cruelty.
It is. The source details his careful planning, like carrying a washcloth saturated in homemade anesthetic to make sure Leilani is unconscious before he kills her. That way there's no screaming or resistance that might, cause distress to himself or others.
He genuinely believes he's improving the world by eliminating those he deems weak or defective. It's just an extreme, terrifying application of rationalized murder.
And Micky Bellsong enters this fight focused entirely on saving Leilani. She's a reformed ex-prisoner, and she's deliberately shedding her deeply ingrained anger and stubbornness, which had served as her self-defense mechanisms her whole life.
She wants to focus on external action, on someone else's welfare. She understands the hell Leilani is in because of her own past.
But she immediately runs into the infuriating, bureaucratic nightmare of Child Protective Services. It's embodied by this caseworker, F. Bronson.
And Bronson is instantly judgmental, right? He focuses solely on Micky's past, on her prison record, rather than the immediate, urgent danger to the child.
The whole environment is hostile. The office is decorated with these bizarre, intimidating cat posters, which Micky perceives as security cameras, just fixing her with these intense, judgmental, feline stares.
And Bronson dismisses the threat using cold, bureaucratic logic. He says that because the threatened killing isn't until February, the child is not at immediate risk under their protocol.
Micky is just utterly frustrated. Maddoc's evil, his philosophical certainty, it's almost impossible to fight with a simple police report. The system is designed to fight conventional threats, not intellectualized murder.
Micky realizes Maddoc's brand of evil is uniquely hard to fight because it hides behind this veneer of intellectual superiority that the system seems to respect. She notices that Maddoc's greed, his envy, his power. The police can understand that. But his mercy killing is an irrational, self-justified idealism that just paralyzes the system.
And Maddoc exploits this. He decides to turn the whole situation into this grotesque game. When he moves Sinsamilla and Leilani, he leaves a full sealed bottle of lemon-flavored vodka for Micky, complete with a fancy stick-on bow.
It's a vicious, mocking gesture.
It is. Maddoc, having searched her things and read her files, has appointed himself Micky's suicide counselor. He's saying, I trust you to be weak, to relapse, and to be utterly ineffectual.
This act of contempt, it galvanizes Micky, though. She realizes she's dealing with a Goliath who views her and Leilani as nothing more than wads of living tallow.
It's the ultimate psychological warfare. He's trying to force her to self-destruct, but Micky just uses that anger to fuel her desperate pursuit, driving her junk heap Camaro after them.
Which brings us to the climax of this whole section. At Tealroy Farm in Idaho, Maddoc ambushes Micky. He intends to kill her and Tealroy, this delusional man who claims he can be healed by aliens, by burning down the house.
And the house is a perfect funeral pyre. It's an absolute labyrinth of trash and paper. Micky is hogtied, expecting to burn alive.
But this is where the convergence happens.
Yes. Noah, Cass, and Polly arrive. They've been tracking Micky's progress. And crucially, they're followed by Curtis and Old Yeller, who arrive just in time for the Nevada shootout.
When Maddoc appears, determined to ensure the death of the Hand and the Slut Queen, as he calls Micky, he is shot by Noah.
The investigator, operating purely on instinct and principle, fires his revolver, checking the moral murderer with brute immediate justice. It's a moment of profound, simple redemption for Noah.
He's traded that long, frustrating pursuit of vengeance against the distant political evil of Sharmer for the immediate, necessary action required to save an innocent soul from philosophical evil.
Maddoc, the man who believed morality was a fiction, is physically halted by Noah's choice to adhere to a moral code.
And the chaos inside that burning, tract-filled maze is absolute. Curtis recognizes he needs to move faster than his human form allows to save Leilani and Micky from the smoke. So he makes a brief, terrifying transformation back to his native shape.
This transformation is instantaneous and shocking. It momentarily paralyzes Polly, one of his new allies, but it also compels her into immediate, necessary cooperation. This act of exposure is vital.
It's the alien fugitive, the principled investigator, and the empowered human companions, all coming together in one messy, dangerous moment.
Noah and Cass create an opening, and Micky and Leilani are rescued from the smoke. And as Curtis quickly reverts to human form, still naked from his shapeshifting, Leilani, the astute, fearless child, just cuts through the tension with pure Koontzian wit.
She does. She looks at him, completely unfazed, and says, "We already saw you naked."
And Curtis, struggling to pull himself back together and maintain his cover, he insists, "Not when I'm being Curtis Hammond, you didn't."
The danger is immediately replaced by this shared, slightly hysterical relief and the formation of a brand new, thoroughly bizarre family unit forged in fire and shared purpose.
And the sources show us the immediate consequences of this convergence. The individual missions and the deep personal traumas, Noah's grief, Micky's recovery, Curtis's flight, they all merge into a single collective purpose.
This is the core engine of the novel, isn't it? The struggle to save the world. Curtis's mission, which he inherited from his mother, begins not with some galactic war, but by saving one soul, Leilani, and then committing to the protection of the people he's just met.
The required solution to widespread corruption and ideological murder, it's found in forming a reliable cadre of committed souls. This found family of Noah, Micky, Cass, and Polly provides the exact moral counterpoint to the hollow corruption of Sharmer's circle of friends.
They're united not by shared ideology or wealth, but by shared trauma and a moral commitment to justice.
And their collective purpose is crystallized through the tragedy of Noah Farrel. When Richard Villeneuve, the disabled man at the care home who is so vulnerable to the ideology of Nurse Quayle, learns of Laura's murder, he asks this simple, profound question that just cuts through all the philosophical noise.
What's wrong with people?
Exactly. That question encapsulates the whole moral landscape. It's a recognition that evil, whether it's calculated or philosophical, represents a fundamental sickness in humanity. And answering that question by choosing action and integrity is what drives the next step.
So they've established their purpose. Now they need the resources to actually operate. We should talk about the funding.
The necessary funding, brilliantly, comes from Constance Sharmer. She's been cleansed of the Sharmer name and identity. She now sees her husband for the monster he really is.
And she provides the checks to Noah for his new work. She acknowledges that his principled refusal of the bribe led to her own liberation. She tells him, "I'm the one who needs to say thank you. You've changed my life twice now."
It's a beautiful exchange. It just shows you how one small act of principled refusal can have these vast ripple effects. Constance is now funding the battle against the very kind of corruption and evil her husband represented.
And the sources confirm that it was Curtis's strategic input that secured that long-term support. Constance was convinced by the typed message from Old Yeller.
I am a good dog. I have a plan, but I need funding. It's the perfect blend of absurdity and seriousness, and it proves their unique operational needs.
And that money is vital. It allows them to protect Richard Villeneuve, who remains vulnerable to Quayle's type of utilitarian ideology, and crucially, it funds their necessary nomadic existence.
Because the immediate need is constant motion. They have to remain gypsies and keep moving constantly. Curtis notes that motion is commotion. He needs continuous movement to scatter his energy signature until he can fully and flawlessly maintain his Curtis Hammond identity without emitting the traceable biological energy signature his enemies can detect.
So if they stop, they risk being detected by the worst scalawags and sophisticated human surveillance. They're literally running to blend in.
But the long-term vision is extraordinary. It's transformative. Curtis intends to share what he calls the gift. The ability to transmit dog dreams and the dog's perceptions, that sense of truth and loyalty, with others, starting with Leilani.
We should spend a second on the metaphysical significance of this gift. It's not just telepathy, is it? It's the transmission of a fundamentally moral perspective, one that comes from the dog's innate, uncomplicated loyalty and sense of the moment. It's pure, uncomplicated empathy.
Precisely. It's a decentralized movement for moral change. This cadre of gifted, principled people, able to share unfiltered truth and empathy, will travel across the world, sharing the gift, creating a global network of committed souls working for good.
They're injecting pure, uncomplicated morality back into the world, one person at a time.
And the goal, as massive as it is summarized with classic Koontzian understatement. They intend to save the world. Not from some government bunker or a mountain fortress, but to save the world from an office in Cleveland or wherever their journey takes them.
It's the ultimate recognition that the most important work isn't done through centralized power or political maneuvering. It's done through secrecy, persistent acts of principle, and sharing a fundamental moral truth in small doses. They're turning the concept of the circle of friends on its head, creating a genuine, decentralized circle of hope.
So this deep dive into one door away from heaven, it gives us this startling, really detailed vision of a world filled with high-level corruption and this cold, intellectualized evil. But ultimately, it argues that resistance is a choice rooted in principle and the establishment of a trustworthy, unconventional found family.
I think the key takeaway for you listening is the sheer diversity of evil we've looked at. We saw the banal, power-hungry greed of Congressman Sharmer operating under the cloak of charity. And then we saw the terrifying ideological certainty of Maddoc and Quayle, who believe they are moral heroes while justifying the elimination of the disabled, the weak, and the elderly through philosophical
Yep.
certainty.
And the novel suggests that resistance is highly personal. It's the principled choice to save one's soul, the refusal of a dirty payoff, or the courage to transform and risk exposure to save a friend in a burning house.
Before we close, we have to return to the author's note that's provided in the source material because it frames this entire philosophical landscape. The author points out that the utilitarian bioethics portrayed through Maddoc is, quote, unfortunately not a figment of my imagination, but a real threat.
The novel's doing more than just thrilling us, it's warning us. It presents this chilling scenario where highly educated, powerful figures justify eliminating those they deem undesirable. It's the ultimate ethical framework turned completely inside out.
And it raises a provocative thought for you to consider. If the battle for morality truly starts small, in refusing a bribe, in defending the seemingly weak, where in your own world are you encountering the subtle, intellectualized evil that justifies cruelty under the guise of efficiency or utility?
The sources remind us that the key to avoiding the loss of human kindness is never to lose the willingness to fight for what is right, even when saving the world feels like too large a task. Sometimes the most heroic thing we can do is simply protect one small, brilliant girl.
A truly complex, chaotic, and deeply moral exploration. Thank you for taking this deep dive with us today.